Surveillance is the continuous observation of a person, a place, a group, or an ongoing activity in order to gather information. According to the Surveillance Studies Network, surveillance is where we find purposeful, routine, systematic, and focused attention paid to personal details for the sake of control, entitlement, management, influence, or protection. Video, audio, and computer technologies are mainly used by a government or corporation to achieve this. The deployment of such invasive technologies raises the question of their impacts on fundamental rights and eventually on the society as a whole. In a 2008 study on surveillance, it suggests that it makes the lives of urban dwellers vulnerable to invasive state and corporate scrutiny, and it promotes a dangerous culture of suspicion and paranoia. Attacks such as 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing have made surveillance and monitoring techniques skyrocket. These cities have seen the largest increase in their surveillance technologies. Arguments have been made for and against surveillance with regard to the issues of terrorism and crime, privacy, and social behaviors. Some people believe that increased monitoring and protection are the best option when dealing with criminal acts. However, it has been also said that the extent of what the governments are using these surveillance technologies for is extreme. Overall, privacy has been made the main concern for most people in a society. The concerns with privacy linked to the surveillance is how often the techniques will be employed, where will they be used, and for what purposes. As surveillance increases, the amount of trust in a society decreases. It creates a rise in deviant social behaviors such as heightened fear of the government and its practices. So, how has increased surveillance impacted society? By the government placing fears in societies through surveillance, they try to further the control they have over the people. With this, they set up more video and audio technologies in public places, such as street corners, to coerce these people to behave in the intended way. However, because of the fear that is embedded into society, there are two possible outcomes of how they will react. The first possibility is that the people will conform to what the government was envisioning and cooperate. Or, the second possibility is that people will rebel against the government's desired outcomes in hopes of provoking a change. These technologies implemented by the government create what we know of as a surveillance society. A surveillance society is one in which individuals are increasingly monitored by an overlapping and entangled assemblage of government and corporate watches. In this society, governments are able to take control over civil liberties in scrutiny towards what individuals are thinking, reading, and communicating with others on both social and political levels. With this, we can come to the conclusion that surveillance enhances our already heightened fear of the government. This information triggers the thought of what kind of surveillance technologies might be in the future for us, and it allows us to think about the different ways in everyday life that we are being tracked through our cell phones, social media, and web browsing. In today's society, we are limited to the amount of privacy that we receive, but we continue to live as a technology-consumed culture that turns a blind eye to the extreme practices happening around us.